The beaches were behind us, but Normandy had only just begun. A few nights after the invasion, I found a shallow hole beneath a hedgerow and decided that would be my home until morning. It had been raining. My uniform was wet. My boots were full of mud. And somewhere beyond the field in front of me, men were trying to kill each other. I couldn't see them. That was the worst part. Normandy wasn't the open battlefield I had imagined. The countryside was divided into thousands of small fields, surrounded by ancient hedgerows. Some had been growing there for centuries. Thick banks of earth covered with roots, bushes, and trees, beautiful in daylight. At night, they felt like walls. You could be standing only a short distance from another soldier and never know he was there. The Germans understood these fields. We were still learning them. Every opening in a hedge could hide a machine gun. Every road could be watched. Every quiet field could suddenly become a battlefield. So that night, I stayed where I was and listened. Far away, artillery rolled across the countryside like thunder. Sometimes I saw the horizon flash. A few seconds later, the sound reached me. Then everything became quiet again. Too quiet. After a while, you learned that silence wasn't peaceful. Silence meant you started hearing everything. Rain falling from the leaves, equipment moving against your uniform, someone coughing somewhere behind you, your own breathing. And then, something moved on the other side of the hedge. I froze. My hand tightened around my rifle. Another sound, maybe 20 yards away. Maybe less. I couldn't tell. For several minutes, I stared into the darkness. Nothing. I started imagining a German soldier doing exactly the same thing. Sitting in another hole. Wet. Exhausted. Listening. Perhaps his hand was wrapped around his rifle, too. Perhaps he was wondering if the sound he'd heard was me. That's something photographs don't tell you about war. Most of it isn't shooting. Sometimes it's waiting for shooting that never comes. Waiting for something to move. Waiting for daylight. Waiting to discover whether you will still be alive when it arrives. We were exhausted. Men learned to sleep almost anywhere. In fields. Against walls. Inside ruined buildings. In holes filled with mud. Sleep didn't necessarily mean safety. It just meant your body had finally decided fear wasn't enough to keep you awake. I remember reaching into my pocket that night. There was a small piece of paper inside. I'd carried it through the landing. It wasn't a map. It wasn't an order. Just something from home. For a few seconds, Normandy disappeared. No artillery, no hedgerows, no war. Just home. Then another explosion lit the horizon, and Normandy came back. By the early hours of the morning, the rain had become lighter. The sky slowly changed from black to gray. Shapes appeared where there had only been darkness. Trees. Fields. Farmhouses. The same countryside that had frightened me all night suddenly looked almost peaceful. Birds began to sing. I remember thinking how strange that was. Men had spent the night firing artillery across those fields, and the birds didn't care. Soon we would move again. Another field, another hedgerow, another village whose name most of us had never heard before. We didn't know how long Normandy would take. We didn't know how many of us would still be there when it ended. We only knew what was directly in front of us. Get up, pick up your equipment, follow the man ahead of you, and keep moving. People would remember June 6th. They would remember the landing craft, the beaches, the cliffs, the thousands of men coming ashore. And they should. But for those who survived the beaches, the war didn't end when they reached the other side. It followed them into the fields, into the hedgerows, and into nights like this one. History remembers the invasion. I remember the nights that came after,